There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
Welcome, everyone, to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful Friday. And because it's the Friday before the first Saturday of the month, we now have an ongoing tradition of having our friends from the Liberty Show on. Welcome, everyone. Tim Smith and Patrick. Howdy, guys?
Thanks. It's great to be back on.
Yeah, good to hear you again. Patrick, I think you're on the line. Hey, all right, good. Good, I can hear you. And, of course, you can catch the Liberty Show on WYSL if you're listening here at 7 p.m. tomorrow. They had Debbie Dooley on for this show that's coming out. It's an interesting one, folks, so definitely worth checking out. You can also just look up the Liberty Show as a podcast as well if you missed that broadcast on the WYSL. And you can also catch it on WYSL1040.com. too. So, guys, you had Debbie Dooley on. Let's go with Tim. Give some context. Who was that? You know, why'd you end up having her on the show? And then let's talk about like what she talked about and what kind of her legacy is.
So Debbie Dooley is a leader within the conservative movement, if you will. She was a leader within the Tea Party. Considered to be in the state of Georgia one of the forerunners for liberty. We had her on the show because, of course, we are libertarians. We love discussing things of liberty. We broach a number of topics. I don't want to get too far ahead, but I would advise our listeners or implore our listeners to listen to that show, because what I thought the Tea Party movement was and was totally different than what it actually was and perhaps really is. So I found Debbie Dooley to be a very interesting individual. I find the Tea Party to be interesting, the liberty movement within the Tea Party. I've been a libertarian for a few years now, since 2004. And I remember when the Tea Party got its legs, when it began to steamroll through the DC. And my thoughts on the Tea Party were that these were what we call in the LP, in the Libertarian Party, liberty ninjas. But listening to Debbie Dooley caused me to reevaluate what I think of the Tea Party.
Right on. Well, and listen, I want to discuss like the whole legacy of the Tea Party afterwards too. But Patrick, your initial thoughts? Go ahead.
Well, as a conservative and someone who knew who Debbie Dooley was, I think that she represents kind of this new generation of conservative speakers and folks of that movement who are outspoken and are willing to do something. She started the Tea Party. She got out there. She was active and did something. I think that's something that the conservative movement, I think oftentimes we feel that we're going to win in the marketplace of ideas, and that should be the case. But what I think we're seeing is our political opponents, if you want to call them that, are willing to go out there and march and protest and do all kinds of things to make their voices heard. And conservatives were always guilty of saying, well, we've got work in the morning, we've got family, we've got a job. So we didn't really do anything. But what Debbie Dooley did is she said, no, that's not enough. We've got to get out there. We've got to rally. We've got to protest. And we've got to push our views forward, because you're not going to get our views. There's not going to be a spotlight in the corporate media today. They've got their own agenda. They've got their own marching orders. So anything counter to that just isn't going to get time, or it's going to be ridiculed and mocked. And I remember vividly how the Tea Party was characterized by toothless yokels and just the dregs of society. It was not that at all. But the media would have you believe that because it's running counter to what they were trying to push down their viewers' throats. So she was one of the first generation of conservative speakers who got out there, who rallied, who marched, who organized. And now we're starting to see that with folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's outspoken. She's a firebrand. Matt Gaetz, I know a lot of folks might not like what he's about and some of the views he holds. But those are two that are out there. They're outspoken and they're doing things. They're out in rallies. They're getting people together, and it's all a new type of conservative individual. And it's good to see, because that's where we are at this point in time. Is you got to get out there. You got to rally. You got to get together, because you're just not going to have that opportunity. The marketplace of ideas, which traditionally would be TV, radio, social media, we're finding more and more that marketplace is being removed or being censored, banned, what have you. So really, there's only one type of voice that's right in this day and age, and that's this liberal progressive dogma. And it's not healthy, and it's not conducive to a solid country. And I think a lot of the ills that we see right now are happening because so many Americans feel like they don't have a voice. So what we're doing is we're rallying, we're getting together, and we're working at a grassroots local level. And that's what the Tea Party was all about. Less tax, more freedom. That's kind of what we should all want. And unfortunately, with what we're seeing coming out of the corporate media and the tech oligarchs, if you will, is something very different and very scary. I would caution your listeners. That's not a path we want to go down, but I worry that we may, hopefully, we're not too far down the road to throw that U-turn and get back to a more stable and more open country.
Right. All right. So Patrick, you threw out a whole bunch of different ideas there, and I want to kind of, continue discussion on a few of those. So one being that, you can't always win in the marketplace of ideas, right? Particularly if the marketplace isn't necessarily going to play fair to, giving equal say to all voices. And they certainly don't have to do that. The mainstream media doesn't have to do that. I don't have to do that. But what do you do if you're not able to get that voice out? Right. You organize, you march, you protest. The politics is about, showing up. The winner is going to be the people who gets the most folks to show up. I did training, oh goodness, 10 years ago now, the Leadership Institute, and they would always say, yeah, politics isn't about winning the marketplace of ideas. It's more, you got to kind of apply those Saul Alinsky tactics sometimes, for better or worse, and grab people's attentions, cause disruption in some ways, and shake people out of complacency. I mean, the other thing with that too, I said, a lot of people are like, well, listen, I'm tired. I go to work all day. I don't have time to go to a midday protest. And, frankly, I feel that way a lot of times too. I'm doing the show. I can't go to a midday protest. Doing my job, can't go to a midday protest. But it's hard because I think conservatives and libertarians are like, man, I just want to be left alone. I don't want to have to deal with this government. I don't want to do anything. But if you let that situation fester, things ain't going to get better. You're not going to be able to be left alone. And that's the problem. And that's the best case for engaging with politics, even when it seems just awful to do so. And finally, the other point, I just want to reinforce, maybe we'll talk about a little bit, is that, what people like Debbie represent and is kind of the next wave of populist conservatism and where that activist wing of the party is heading to next. And I think it's really interesting because I don't know, and Tim and I talked about this a little bit, but I don't know what the next, or the legacy of the Tea Party is. Is it the Trump movement? Is it the libertarian movement? Is it both? What was the ultimate kind of goal and consequences of the Tea Party starting to emerge 2008, 2009, 2010? And I was one of those folks who was at the original Tea Party rally in April of 2009. I was there with that. And I don't know what to think of that now. And we only got a minute left now. And so real quick, Patrick, your thoughts on that in a minute, and then we'll all talk about it next segment a bit too.
Sure. Well, I think this is a fight we didn't want, but it was brought to us. We're watching our liberties diminish day by day, our financial liberty being diminished by overtaxation and all kinds of policies. So this is not a fight we wanted, but it's been brought to us. So it's how do you react? And you're seeing that through the Tea Party. And without the Tea Party, there wouldn't be this populist movement that ushered Trump into the White House. So the Trump movement has its roots in the Tea Party. But you're right. The fight is at our doorstep. And the far left, they know that, traditionally speaking, conservatives don't fight. They cower. And we can't be that way. We can't do that. We got to push back, and we got to rally, and we got to fight, because they are.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that is a good jumping off point, I think. And we're going to continue this discussion. I'll ask what Tim's thoughts are on what the legacy of the Tea Party is. Maybe we'll jump into some of the topics that came up on your show too, just to give the listeners a tiny bit of a preview, reason to listen to the show, some good discussions that happened there. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Again, this is a live show. We're live here on WYSL until 1 p.m. Leave your comments on mine, and I will get to them. Can't do phone calls today, but leave your comments online. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
The Finger Lakes Castle team is in its 7th decade of factory direct service to the service professional. From cleaning the ins and outs of your vehicle to keeping you on the road, Castle's got you covered. Castle makes streak-proof glass cleaner, FDA-registered sanitizers, and EPA-registered hospital-grade disinfectants. Remember, when you need to keep it clean, use what the pros use. Castle. Accept no substitutes.
Castle keeps it clean.
A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see. Then, start your video to provide evidence later. To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today. Thank you so much for joining us. We are joined by our friends from the Liberty Show, Tim Smith and Patrick, and we're talking about the legacy of the Tea Party. You know, like women like Debbie Dooley, who were instrumental in getting that started in her, and of course it was. I think truly a grassroots movement. Again, I saw people organizing locally, doing their thing, but the Tea Party, the way that it was pitched back in 2009, it was about spending, it was about less taxes, more freedom. Tim, is that the legacy you see? Was that the goal originally?
I think the Tea Party went in sincerely believing that they were going to accomplish less taxation and more freedom. But that didn't happen. We saw with the Trump administration that the conservatives are up to spending as long as the money is being spent, as long as the taxes are being extorted for issues that are near and dear to them. And that brings me to the point of the idea that the Tea Party floated, that they pushed, that they were for more freedoms. If you listen to our show with Debbie Dooley, you realize that that's not true. The Tea Party, just as all other conservatives, are only for freedom for people and issues that align with them. And Debbie Dooley, on our show, we have Dr. Dana Bevins. She is a world-renowned psychologist. She's a transgender individual. And she posed a question to Debbie. Debbie, why is it that you believe the government, conservatives, have the right to tell a parent, a family, how they should treat a child who wants to have surgery to change their sex, their gender? And she came, Debbie Dooley, with the same talking points that all conservatives love to spew: liberty and freedom for me, but not for thee, until you get on my page. So that's the problem that I have with the Tea Party and conservatives in general, is that unlike conservatives that are, let's say, members of the Libertarian Party or identify as libertarians, instead of going into the marketplace of ideas and trying to convince people that my way is the right way, it's better than your way, instead what they want to do is get in the office so that they can use the power of the government to bring about their will. And then when you ask them, just as I did with Debbie Dooley, what gives you the authority to use force, to use government, to tell me what I can do with my child who wants to have whatever surgery? She said, well, it's laws. So that's my problem with the Tea Party, and that's my party with conservatives in general, is that they're not actually out to bring liberty to the people. They're only interested in bringing force in the guise of liberty if you believe in what they believe in.
Yeah. All right. So tons of points there. So let me get to a couple of those and maybe pose some more questions. One, the legacy of this movement as populist movement. I think Thomas Massey once said, we thought everyone was for limited government, and turns out they're just going for the craziest SOB in the room. And that's what ended up happening. It wasn't about limited government principles for a lot of people. It wasn't about, protecting liberty. It was about the person who was most mad at the system. And in 2016, that person who was the most mad was Donald Trump. And he didn't have constraint in spending. He didn't have constraint in using government force for his own ends. It was about who was maddest at the status quo. And that's, I think, part of the legacy that, again, something that brought me into politics too. It's like Tea Party brought me into politics a bit too, but there's that kind of schism in the movement of people who are like, wait, we really were talking about limited government principles, weren't we? And then the folks are just like, no, we're just mad. And then the other point, the discussion with Dana, again, make sure you listen to the show. It's going to be here on WYSL at 7 p.m. tomorrow, the Liberty Show. And that part of that discussion is interesting, because what Dana was saying is, she wasn't even saying surgery. She was saying, like, if you have a kid who's trans and they want to express themselves that way, like, they should be able to do so without state interference, right? Like, that's a decision between parents and kids, not between the state and the kids. And I think that was kind of your point too, is that it doesn't matter. Like, that's not the government's decision to, even if you don't like it, it's not the government's decision to jump in and interfere and say, no, if your kid's expressing their gender identity in a way that's different than what they were born with, that's, their business. And Debbie's position was, no, that's child abuse. We need CPS to come in and break up these families to do that. And I kind of tend to agree with you, Tim. It's just that it doesn't matter like how you feel about it. I would rather the government stay out of that stuff. I don't think it crosses the threshold for abuse, like, at all. And in fact, Dana was trying to make the argument that sometimes, like, the parents need to figure out what's best for their kids for their own mental health and safety. And that's not something you can get with a one size fits all solution from whatever state you have. So Tim, anything to add to that?
Sure. Here's the thing, right, with conservatives and the Tea Party movement, and you brought up an awesome point. The Tea Party morphed into a bunch of angry individuals, and we're going to run with the guy who has the loudest voice, and that was Trump. And if you look at the Tea Party now, the Tea Party's legacy is Trump. It's Trumpism. And to their credit, they're leaning into Trump. Unlike those on the left, they are consistent in their adoration of Trump. And that's not to say that I don't see anything positive. There are no positive attributes to Trump. I think Trump was great in a lot of ways, but overall, he was still a crappy president, just as Biden is a crappy president. And unfortunately, unless the Tea Party believers take hold of what conservatism is, the next go round, when we have a presidential election, we're going to end up with either Trump or someone who's just like Trump. And the Tea Party is just going to be a continuation of a sinking ship.
Yeah, I mean, it might be. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I think someone like Patrick might disagree that there's a level of energy that exists here, and I guess it like, to me, like, as someone whose principles are kind of going out of vogue in the Republican Party, I don't like it. But if your goal is to win and to harness populist energy, I don't know that is going to go away. I don't know that's a bad strategy. It might work. Patrick, what do you think?
Well, I think that when we look at the Tea Party and Trumpism, a lot of it is rooted in populism and America first, essentially. Let's take care of Americans before we look outside our borders to other countries. It was kind of buried last Friday because of the holiday weekend, but personal income was down 13%. So the fact that we're having a discussion about a former president who put Americans first is a bad thing, or he was just a loudmouth, I think that's ludicrous. He's the first
Patrick,
president in a
before
generation.
we go too much further, 13% compared to what?
The previous year, I believe. And a lot of that might have some of the stimulus check money baked into it. So that would be a given. But still, and we can get into to why those stimulus checks were issued, and it was due to the COVID virus. But even if you take that out, you look at the inflation that's coming. You look at rising costs in gasoline, food, housing, lumber, all those things coming together. So Americans are being squeezed every which way. So to have an embodiment of the American, your average individual that's going to go up there and fight, that's a good thing. And that's what we saw in Trump. Now, we all hear the swamp, right? And it was very much that. And the whole Tea Party movement, it was really sabotaged by a lot of people who are wolves in sheep's clothing. They said they talked a good game, but when they got to Washington, they just followed the uniparty's talking or directive. That's all they did. So that there was a lot of naivety that the folks that were elected under the banner of Tea Party would go to Washington and fight. I would say that most conservative Americans have learned from that, and they are doing a much better job vetting who they put their support behind. So that's how I see things. It's not that the Tea Party abandoned the principles. It was just the wrong folks were put into place under the banner of the Tea Party.
Yeah, I think there's certainly something to that for sure. Did people make false promises, Republicans, false promises of getting into office, and just carried this way for populism, and then just did whatever they want? All right, so thanks so much for joining us here on A Free Solution. We will be back in a few minutes. Leave your comments online. We're live until 1 p.m. Leave your comments online if you want to participate in the discussion. Talk to you soon.
Now it's Dan Bongino, weekday afternoons.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We're looking at partly cloudy skies, staying kind of mild out there. Temperatures will be in the 60s on Saturday, turning very warm. It will be a bit windy. Could be some gusts over 30 miles an hour. Temps in the mid, maybe some upper 80s. And it's hot on Sunday with plenty of sunshine. Still a breeze, but not as strong. Temperatures close to 90. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
Hey, grab a pen. I'm going to give you a phone number I hope you never have to call. The number for attorney Christopher Johnson. Chris handles car and motorcycle accident cases and DWIs and serious personal injury cases. So if there's an accident or anything else, this is the number you want in your glove compartment. You ready? Here's the number, 585-415-3803. 415-3803. You'll want that handy because suddenly, at that time, you'll be getting lots of, quote, advice. With this number in hand, you know you'll have experience on your side and integrity and individual attention to your case. So forget the singing jingle phone numbers, the actors playing ex-clients bragging about their $1 million settlements. Just remember the number for Christopher Johnson, attorney. We hope you never have to call. 585-415-3803. 415-3803. Stay safe, be healthy, drive sober. Christopher Johnson, attorney, personal injury, car or motorcycle accidents, DWI defense. Good to know.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Tom Hamilton here, president of Hamilton Wealth Management. Let's talk about investment fees and commissions. Just how much are you paying to have your investments managed? If you're like most people, you really don't know the cost, right? Does this make any sense? Paying for something without knowing how much? Okay, maybe your advisor is a friend and even sends you a birthday card every year. But what real value is he providing and at what cost? Isn't that a fair question to ask of any service provider, including your broker? For a $2 million account with annual fees and commissions totaling 2.5%, you're paying $50,000 per year. That's a lot of money. Are you receiving that level of value? If you have over $250,000, I will personally review your investments, including an analysis of the actual costs. To schedule your no-cost review, call our Pittsford office at 381-9870 or contact us from our website, hamiltonwealthmanagement.com. That's hamiltonwealthmanagement.com.
Advisory services offered through Wealth Plan Partners. Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC.
Forget the fluff and silly stuff. Get the facts right now. Only on News 1040 AM.
Your family is growing, and it's time for a new home. Why buy a used house with someone else's style when you can afford a new Faber home built to suit your taste and your needs? Start fresh, build new with Faber. Faber Homes can customize your home to meet your wishes and dreams. Faber Homes is now building in 6 locations. Visit the Faber Homes website at faberhomes.com and find the plan of your dreams or a quick deliver home. Give Faber Homes a call today at 247-4800 or visit faberhomes.com for our current incentives. Faber Homes, great homes, great price.
At Tom Walls, we use only pure cane sugar in every batch of Tom Walls root beer, never corn syrup. I'm Riley. Let me cook you the best cheeseburger, crispiest fries, and serve you a Tom Walls frosted mug of root beer.
Tom Walls.
Here comes the bloom. Celebrate spring with the brilliant Carve Annuals. Everything you need for your gardens and beds. Farm fresh produce too. 7 days a week at J&A Farm Market and Greenhouses. Route 15 just south of exit 9 off 390. J&A, always blooming.
Dispatch Custom Milling in East Rochester offers portable sawmill service. They'll turn your valuable logs into valuable lumber at your site. Up to 36 inches wide and 21 feet long. Serving the area for 7 years, visit dispatchcustommilling.com.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. We're live here on WYSL, which means that you can leave your comments. Leave your comments online. We're here until 1 o'clock. Your comments on A Free Solution, the Facebook page, A Free Solution, the YouTube channel, or the Kevin Wilson pages and Twitter as well. We're on there. And of course, shout out down the line to our friends listening over at WACK out in Newark and WENY, the Patriot down in the southern tier, WENY, ENI. Thank you all for listening, and our friends listening on the podcast as well. We got a podcast. Look up A Free Solution. You can find it anywhere you can find podcasts. And if it's not somewhere, let me know. We'll get it up there. And today, we have our friends from the Liberty Show on, Tim Smith and Patrick, talking about, they had done this show with Debbie Dooley, who is one of the instrumental founders of the Tea Party in Georgia. And they have a very interesting discussion that covers transgender issues and state intervention there. We talked about that last segment. They talk about the election getting stolen. They talk about, again, what the founding principles of the Tea Party were, all of this stuff that they're discussing. And, I see Tim O'Connor's listening today. Hey, Tim, how's it going, man? That show was pretty solid. Tim O'Connor, folks, you'll start to see him every Thursday moving forward, too. That's a reminder for that. So, hey, Tim, glad you're listening today, too. But let's get back to the topic at hand, the legacy of the Tea Party. Less taxes, more freedom. Was it? I looked up Thomas Massey had said something about, everyone's just voting for the craziest SOB in the room. So I don't know what to think of it. Again, no one refers to the Tea Party more. I agree with the bad media narrative that ended up emerging, about the Tea Party misrepresenting grassroots conservative populism. And actually, Tim, I use that term conservative. Tim had posed a question to me: what does conservatism mean? Because conservatism, when you talked about it in 2009, is different from now, and it's different from 2004. It's different from 1995. It's different from the Edmund Burkean conception of what conservatism means. So I'm going to ask Patrick this because I think he's a little bit closer to a conservative than maybe me or Tim are, but I'll ask Tim too. Patrick, what do you think conservatism means, and has it changed over the last 10 years?
Yeah, it tends to evolve because I think that things are accelerating in this country at unprecedented pace. And generally, big picture conservatism is smaller government, more liberty, more freedom, less taxes. And that's really the umbrella of which conservatism lies under. And I agree with Tim. He did point out a very good inconsistency in the transgender discussion is you have Debbie was saying how these children should not be allowed to make this decision, and that's not really consistent with what conservatism is about. So that discussion, though, transgender children, that would not have been a topic 20 years ago, right? So it's seemingly with what's happening in society today, conservatism is trying to find its place in it. So big picture, as I mentioned before, limited government, less tax, more freedom. But again, it's not easy to pin it down because of the things that seemingly are big issues that weren't the case just a short time ago. So that seems to be the guiding principle, though, is an oppressive government, authoritarian government, which I think we're getting to. That really, there's plenty of people out there that think government is a good thing, that everyone has the Americans' best interest at heart. And I think you can see what's happening right now in the news with Fauci and the emails and the coronavirus. I think people need to pause and take a look at that situation because we've been lied to for over a year now. And it's looking very much like the government who told us that if you think this was engineered in the lab, you're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist. Well, now you're telling me that same government has our best interests out when they've lied to us for over a year. So a little bit, not necessarily answering the question, but conservatism has changed. It has some founding principles. Tim pointed out some very good inconsistencies when situations when you try to apply conservatism to modern day issues. But at the end of the day, a lot of cliches here. At the end of the day, we see what our government is doing right now, right in line with the media, right in line with the scientific community, and you see what they're about, where it's a ton of lies, a ton of misdirection, misinformation, and we, the people, are left to pick up the pieces and try to navigate and make best choices of our life, given we've got a government that does not have our best interest out. So I know it probably didn't answer your question as concisely as you wanted, but there's a lot to it these days as to what an individual who wants a smaller government and less government intrusion in their lives, what that means when applied to the current day.
Yeah, and you know, I do think conservatism. I think conservatism changes to meet the definition of whatever the Republican Party is. Like that's, I'm going to show my hand. I think that's what that means. It doesn't have consistent principles over time, and we see that when, you know, for a while, conservatism, limited government meant free trade. We're going to make sure we eliminate barriers to trade, allow companies to trade overseas, do what they want. You know, as long as they're not hurting people or taking their stuff, do your thing. Okay, cool. But now we got this nationalist impulse to say, no, we need to erect tariffs to protect American jobs. And well, somehow that isn't small government. That's nationalist conservatism. And, you know, putting America first sometimes means restricting the liberty of some Americans. And I don't know how you square that idea with the rhetoric around limited government, which I think that the Republican Party for at least the last 20 some odd years hasn't even pretended to care about. And they did a bit during the Tea Party movement when you had Justin Amash and Rand Paul and Ron Paul and Thomas Massey and some of those folks, but we've moved away from that. And so Tim, because we have a few minutes left, I want to give you a shot to comment on that before we close out this topic and do Fake News Friday next.
Sure. Patrick, I think, hit the nail directly on the head. No one actually knows what the heck conservatism actually is. It is a moving target that is always moving. And because it's always moving, depending on who is in office, depending on who the so-called conservative masses are listening to, gives them the definition, which is liable to change at a moment's notice. And this is the problem with the Tea Party. This is the party with all conservative movements, is that no one actually knows what conservatism is. So they use these platitudes like less government intrusion and less taxes. But what they really mean is less taxes sometimes for some people, depending on what it is they're doing, i.e. bringing back jobs to America. Well, yeah, if you're bringing back jobs to America, you deserve a tax break. And if you worship Jesus as I worship Jesus, then you should be free to raise your kids as you choose to raise them. But should you decide to raise your kids as a secularist, well, I can't deal with that because it conflicts with my personal belief system in Jesus Christ. So when I came to liberty, to the liberty movement, like most libertarians, I first became a Republican because I understood conservatism as being less free, more freedom for the individual and less intrusion by the government into the individual's life. It didn't take long for me to realize that that was a lie, that the Republicans, that the conservatives, all they want to do is intrude, break down my door, and dictate to me how I should live my life. So I don't understand how folks get behind this so-called conservative movement when no one can actually define it without reverting to platitudes.
Yeah, no, well, I I have a lot. I agree with you there, and again, it's hard to pin down. It's hard. It's kind of just like liberalism too. And for folks who watch it online, you can see I have a bunch of books behind me too. And it's funny because I got these like books on like conservatism by like Mark Levin, Thomas Sowell, pretty consistent. But these books on like liberalism too, all this different stuff. And it's so wild to see like what the goals and the tactics were the conservative movement, 10, 15 years ago, and how they compare to like what that looks like now, how the rhetoric looks now. And I agree, like some stuff's got to change over time, right? Like stuff's going to change based on new emerging technologies, on new political movements, on the reaction to the left. Like how do you deal with a progressive wing that is asking for more and more of our wealth and more control over our lives too? Do you counter that with your own form of government control? Well, I would say no, that's going to be just as bad too. And it can be seized if you build that apparatus behind the progressives too. It's a dangerous game. I would rather stick to the consistent limited government principles and apply those equally across time. All right, just a thought. All right, so we're out of time for this segment today, and we're going to be back in a few minutes with a little bit of Fake News Friday. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're going to be back in a few minutes.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax. We would like to thank our Lord for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, "He is my refuge and my fortress, for he will rescue us from every trap and protect us from deadly disease."
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys who specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results.
We are also a small firm who will treat you like family and not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And one way we can achieve that is by being debt-free. So let us help you today. Call us at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
A free solution.
It's Fake News Friday. Welcome back to A Free Solution. Thanks again for joining us. And again, shout out down the line to our friends over at WACK out in Newark and WENY, the Patriot down in Southern Tier. We're live here on WYSL and on Facebook and on YouTube until 1 p.m. So leave your comments if you want to participate in this. do it the best we can. Got a few fake news items. So Tim, you're up first. What is your headline?
Bodybuilder who wed 2 sex dolls is now open to dating humans.
Okay, I think I saw this on social media, but Patrick, real news or fake news?
I'm going to say real news.
Yeah, I definitely saw a tweet in jokes about this. I'm gonna say it's real news too.
You guys are absolutely right. This is actually real news.
Oh boy, so this, yeah, because the picture I saw was like, yeah, this buff dude, but he's into sex dolls. Apparently, that's his thing. All right, cool, man. But he's open to human relationships. Good for him. That sounds like progress to me. Good job, guy.
He may be onto something.
All right. I don't know what to make of that. All right, Patrick, you got one too, right?
Yep. In its continued effort to battle the coronavirus pandemic, Dr. Fauci is now recommending Americans wear face masks over their eyes so they can't read his leaked emails. Real or fake?
Tim, what do you think?
That's got to be real.
It's real news. All right, I think that's fake. I think that might be a Babylon Bee headline. It sounds like a Babylon Bee headline. Patrick, is that real or fake?
It is fake. I imagine if it was 2 face masks over their eyes, that would be probably true, right?
That's that I knew there was a tell somewhere. Like, you got to have the 2 face masks, otherwise, like, what are you even doing?
That's right.
That's great. I mean, yeah, I did read some of the Fauci emails. I saw some of that stuff. Guys, I promise I'm gonna do a whole show on that Monday. I haven't gotten to that topic yet. I wanted to give it some time to simmer, sort through what's real, what's fake, because there's a bunch of fake stuff out there too. And I looked at some of the stuff, and they're like, "Oh, look at this smoking gun." I'm like, "Oh no, that's not real. Someone made that up." So I'm sorting through all this stuff. I ain't getting hot takes, but yeah. Anything else to add to that, y'all?
I think that one takes the cake.
It takes the cake. That's a good one. That's funny. Good find, Patrick. All right. Headline, you tell me if this is real or fake. Autonomous slaughter-bot drones reportedly attack people using facial recognition tech. Real or fake?
Oh, that sounds real.
Patrick, what do you think, real or fake?
Yeah, the way we're going with technology these days, I'm surprised we haven't had those already. I gotta say it's real.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently is real. It's something that happened out in Libya, which is wild. I read that headline and I was like, man, that sounds like some sci-fi dystopia nonsense. And I had to look into it. But yeah, apparently that's something that's happening now, is people are just wiring up facial recognition tech to drones and just getting them to crash into people with explosives. And it's a terrifying thing. Like, this is it's some stuff you'd see in movies a few years ago, but it's starting to become real. And that's I don't know what to do about that either. That's I don't know if we can regulate our way out of stopping the murder bots from taking over and becoming a normal part of daily life. Should we make
just think of the ramifications of that?
Well, the thing is, we got politicians now that they're telling us that there are UFOs of some sort. There are things that the Air Force or I should say our military institutions are seeing almost daily that they don't have an explanation for. So who knows where that's going to go? It could just be some secret technology that we have that's confusing the diagnostics equipment out there. But you're seeing a lot of that these days, and there's not a whole lot of explanations as to what the heck they're seeing. The fighter pilots, I don't know who's detecting these things, but it's getting kind of eerie how very serious politicians are. These are not like conspiracy theorists or whack jobs. These are very very stone-faced politicians that they're wanting to know what these things are. We're seeing all the time. So you talk about murder bots now, but who knows what else is out there that we have yet to account for.
Yeah, so we'll have the murder bots on the Earth front, and then the UFOs doing whatever the heck they're gonna do. Yeah, that like Patrick, that stuff's nuts because we got like Chuck Schumer like demanding more information be released here in New York. I was listening to an interview from Pete Meyer, who's the guy who replaced Justin Amash in Congress, talking about the reports coming out. It's something like there's so much other stuff going on, like the government like releasing all this information on UFOs, and there's a report coming out this month through Congress. Like it's barely made a blip. I mean, we're gonna see if there's something conclusive that comes out of this congressional report. Tim, are you expecting us to learn about first contact with aliens from this report?
No. I don't think anything's going to come of it.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts too. It's like I don't know if much is going to happen out of this. It's probably just going to be like, yep, we saw some videos with some objects we couldn't explain, and we just have this one little grainy video of it, and we can't actually measure how fast they're going. It looks kind of fast here, but that's it. And then,
I mean, I'm hoping that there are other life forms so that we can send our murder bots to these planets, murder those individuals. And then we have a whole new planet that we can take over. It's the American way.
Yeah, no, that will kickstart a jobs program to manufacture murder bots en masse, so we can start invading some other worlds. And that's, that's the next step, right? That's what we do.
Perhaps we can enslave these UFOs, these aliens, to work cheaper.
Oh goodness. That's nope, not gonna endorse that. Not gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole. Thanks, Tim. No, I don't know. I don't know if aliens exist. There's so many worlds out there. It's hard to say, but like I have you heard of this idea called like the Fermi paradox? Ever heard of that?
No.
So basically, it's this idea that like we haven't been contacted by aliens yet, not because they don't necessarily exist, but because they either end up killing themselves, like they end up blowing themselves up, like a nuclear disaster type of deal, like they end up destroying themselves in some way, or they're actually too far apart. Like there's no possibility of ever like traveling to Earth or traveling, like having interstellar travel. So if there are aliens out there, they can't exist. So the Fermi paradox is basically, why haven't we heard from aliens yet? Why aren't we in communication with them already? It's not just because of our technology. We should hear something. Either they actually don't exist, or they can't communicate with us, or they've destroyed themselves.
I like to think that they are respecting our borders.
Maybe they are. Maybe they're just we're going to respect their sovereignty. Just let Earth be. Fine. That seems.
Well, if there were space aliens, they'd already be here and probably voted for Biden in the last election.
Good point.
That explains everything. That explains it all. That's how Biden pulled this off. We knew it. We've established this theory on a free solution. All right, we only got a minute left though, so I want to make sure I get in another plug for you guys over in the Liberty Show. I'm not on this one. I'll probably be on the next one, but the Liberty Show, make sure you listen to it at 7:00 on WYSL, or you can always go to WYSL1040.com, catch the podcast of it. They're talking to Debbie Dooley, who is one of the instrumental people in founding the Tea Party, especially in Georgia. So Tim, Patrick, thanks for being on today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Thanks for listening today, folks. I'm going to be back on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.